My fiancé knew about my mother's affair and didn't tell me. 3 weeks ago, I had to sit with my dad, listen to my mother tell that she wanted a divorce because she had been having an affair with a guy she met on the internet for a year now. Now, the first part one understood. My dad had already talked to me that their marriage just wasn't the same as before, and although he was doing his best to change things up, my mom wasn't caring about it anymore. But the affair part got me really angry, and I felt a bit heartbroken, especially because she kept repeating that she knew my dad didn't deserve that and how angry she was at herself. So I called my fiancé because I was upset and I needed to talk to someone, except that when I told him about it, he just goes, "About that," and proceeds to tell me that he already knew for 5 months, because he would often see my mother and the man at a restaurant near his work. I asked him why he hadn't told me about it, and he said that he just didn't know how to do it, and there never seemed to be a right time for it. After that, he said he would give me some space, and we haven't talked much since. I asked him out so we could have dinner and talk, but he just sat in silence and wouldn't even look me in the eye. I have been staying at my parents' house to help my dad, and my fiancé has yet to show up. We're supposed to get married next year, and I thought at first that we should change the date for later, but right now I'm feeling so uncomfortable and doubtful that I even wonder whether we should get married. I love him, but there is this weird feeling that I can't shake, and his behavior through this entire thing isn't helping. A lot of people seem to think that I'm blaming my fiancé, and this is not the case. I'm not blaming him, and I'm well aware of the fact that my mother is the one at fault in this entire situation. My point is that he's been avoiding me, even though I could really use his support in this moment. I'm not even wanting to have a talk about what happened, because I know we can come back to it once the dust has settled. I just want someone to talk about mundane things and to try and keep my mind away from the entire mess that's going on right now. But it seems I'll have to keep trying until then. Relevant comments and OP's reply. One said, "It's your mother that put everyone in this situation. She wasn't even being discreet. Odd that he saw her so many times but she never saw him. And very poor timing for her to announce this right before your wedding. I am sorry you are the one who got royally screwed." Op replied with, "From what he said, she saw him twice. During both times she was just talking with the guy, so that's why she probably thought he didn't see anything besides that, except he did. Or maybe she just didn't care." Someone else commented, "How much did he know? Just seeing your mom with some other guy at a restaurant doesn't necessarily mean it's an affair, could be a work lunch meal or whatever." Op replied, "Sometimes they were just talking. Other times things evolved to hand-holding and kisses." Some else commented with, "The him not being there for you during this mess is a separate issue. Seems weird he would just back off all of a sudden. Does he feel like you blame him?" Op replied with, "I don't think I've given him any indication of blaming him. During the phone call where he told me the details, I was pretty speechless. I just asked him questions of how long this was going on and what he saw. Also the locations and when was the last time he saw it happen. I also asked why he hadn't told me anything. I told him we needed to talk in person and just kept him updated on the situation through texts. When we went out for dinner, he was already acting kinda weird, and to be honest, I felt weird too, so I decided to talk about other topics before we could have a proper conversation. He just kept mostly to himself and would answer more than talk, and I decided to drop it before it got worse. So now we just talk through very short messages, and phone calls are almost non-existent since he will either hang up fast or not pick up at all. Also, we don't share a place at the moment since he had to move in with a friend for a few months since it's closer to where they work, and we had to adjust our budget to move somewhere close in the future rather than now. 3 months later, making this update so I can move on from that. Not a happy update, but here we go. After making the post, I realized that maybe I was being accusatory and that I should try being more open with him. I invited him to my place so we could have an honest talk. He didn't show up and instead decided to call me. I was already having a hard time, so this didn't sit right with me, which led to us arguing through the phone and ended up with my now ex-fiancé revealing that he had been having an affair himself with a woman from work. The entire thing had been going on for almost a year, and at first he thought it was just an one-time thing, except it kept happening, and he figured out that he had feelings for her. It was around that time that he moved to his friend's place, so he could take her there whenever his friend wasn't home, which was often. This was why he didn't tell me about my mother's affair. He felt guilty and he started feeling paranoid. After the whole thing blew up, he got scared and was trying to do damage control, including trying to break up with her. Except he didn't want to break up with her, so it was going to be me instead. We last spoke to each other in November, once he finished canceling the stuff that was already planned. He wanted to keep contact in the future, which I denied. I moved closer to where my dad lives. His divorce still isn't finished, but it'll get there. My mother has been living with her boyfriend since the whole thing came to light. I haven't spoke to her since, even though she tried to contact once I canceled the wedding. I'm still not in a good shape emotionally, but I'm trying to get there. I truly wish no one ever goes